Eleni Sokos is a lifelong Bradenton resident, and she's actually now a business owner, as many of you know. And she also really gives back to our community. After graduating from FSU, she returned in Bradenton and began Sokos Social in 2014. So Sokos Social now offers services that include brand development and strategy, which we'll be really going over today, web and graphic design, print and digital media, and content marketing throughout the Sarasota and Manatee area. They were a Manatee Chamber Small Business of the Year finalist in 2019. And hopefully most of you know, Eleni was actually our 2019 MYP MVP of the Year award winner. Eleni's also really been engaged in MYP for so many years. She's been on the executive committee, on the leadership board. She's really done a lot with MYP to really make it what it is today. She's also currently a member of the board of directors for the Bradenton EDC, on the Bishop Museum's marketing committee, and on the Sarasota Manatee Originals marketing committee. So we're really just so excited that Eleni's here to share all of her extensive knowledge that she has. So thank you, Eleni, so much for doing this, and it's all yours now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Like I said, I appreciate the opportunity to speak about something I'm really passionate, both professional development and career development. And when Caitlin came to me with this topic, it was kind of two topics that we sort of morphed and figured out how to tie together into something that I think everyone can benefit from, whether you are established in your career, whether you are looking for new opportunities, or whether you are just kind of trying to figure out what's next for you, and maybe that's personally. I can relate to that. I felt like we've gone through a number of transitions in our company in the last year, and we're starting to kind of plateau and stabilize, which is awesome, but it also makes me feel like, what's next? So I've been doing a little bit of soul searching lately, and I hope that what we share here today will help you too. A little bit about our company. What we do, we build brands through creative storytelling in the digital age. So what the heck does that mean? A little bit of logos, social media, PR, web design, graphic design, everything that you need to tell your story authentically to your ideal client. So thinking about career development, it was a little ironic because I didn't follow the traditional career playbook. Like, I decided I hated my job and quit, started my own company. Maybe not the best decision I ever made, because at the time I didn't really know what I was doing. I figured it out along the way, but you know, I kind of script the playbook on career development. So I'm going to tell you today a little bit from my perspective as a leader, as someone who's always looking to reach new clients, you know, sell myself and our company in the best possible way. And one other thing I'd recommend, if you ever are interested in starting your company, maybe don't put your last name on the door, because there's a sense of, there's a lack of separation that comes along with that. And your personal brand becomes the company's brand. So I know a lot about personal branding, and that's what we'll share today. So today's plan, we're going to talk about discovering your purpose and then turning that into a personal brand. We're exploring what leadership looks for, leveraging your relationships, and then what's on everybody's mind, COVID. How do you advance in your company when your supervisor can't see you? We'll talk about that. So 3 benefits to having a strong personal brand. I could not say anything more succinctly about the benefit than this. You lead more, you win more, and ultimately you earn more. So that's what everyone's goal is, I hope. How to know your best self, identify realistic goals, will discover your purpose. You know, I think there's a lot out there. There's so many, there's journaling, there's so many tools and tactics that can help you discover your path and your passion and your purpose. One exercise I really like to consider is knowing your competitive advantage. What do you and only you have to offer, whether that's an employer or an industry or your family or your friends? What is your unique selling proposition, as we call it in marketing? Skill, that's an obvious one, but how can you take whatever skill you have and make it more specific, more niche? How can you make it more marketable? Your unique experiences. How does the time you've spent in different companies or different industries, how do those unique experiences work together to define you in a really unique way? What resources do you have to offer? Obviously, money is easy, is the first thing that comes to mind, but do you have access to product that is unique? Do you have a supply chain that is unique? And then finally, relationships are also huge. For better or for worse, our world revolves around who you know. In COVID times, I can actually testify that this has been a benefit, I think. Those who have been able to really sustain their business and grow their business during that time, it's because they had strong relationships. A specific example is the small business owners I know who have excellent relationships with their bankers were the first in line for the PPP money. It's as simple as that. Ultimately, your relationships really do help you on the path to success. So the question is, how do you leverage these competitive advantages to your benefit? It's, again, about marketing yourself as the solution to whatever problem exists. So, whether that's something in your company where there's a specific need that needs to be filled, how do you throw it out there that like, hey, I can do that. I'll volunteer for that. Or even in looking at a new company, a startup maybe, or an established business where you think, hey, I really have what it takes to help that brand grow, and my company's not investing in me, so maybe it's time to make the jump. So your area of overlap here in this Venn diagram, this is really, this is a common image you've probably seen before, but this is really the sweet spot. And it's gonna take a little bit of soul searching for you to figure out what, really your skills are, what your interests are, what excites you, and what's the opportunity. Where's the market going? What is necessary in 2020 in a post-COVID world, especially? What pays well? What fields are satisfying? Feeling good about your purpose is great, but rainbows and gumdrops don't pay bills. So also understanding that, financially you need to make your destiny actionable is huge too. So defining your goals. A lot of us in project management or in marketing, of course, always speak to, we are very familiar with the ideas of SWOT analyses and SMART goals. So these may be common exercises you've done in your workspace, but how do you apply them to who you are as a person? So I honestly try to do one kind of self-development exercise a week. It's a little aggressive, but like I said, right now I'm trying to kind of figure out what my next 5 years is going to look like. So sit down, take a sheet of paper and sketch it out, make a grid or something like a 4 quadrants, and do your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. I recommend doing this annually. A good milestone is either your birthday, because it's kind of the start of a new year for you. Personally, I do mine usually right around the first of the year when I'm developing New Year's resolutions. And then I actually do one for the company too on our company's birthday, which is September 1st. So the SMART goals, on the other hand, is, a lot of us know this acronym, but I'll just repeat it in case. So strategic, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. So strategic means that this will help you advance in your career, and there's a plan to get there. The measurable means that you can, measure the success. It's not just like, I want to feel more zen. So you meditate for 10 minutes a day, whatever that looks like for you. Is it actually achievable? Do you literally have the power to bring this dream to life? Sometimes you might have a goal, but it might not be within your control to actually achieve it. Relevant, what makes sense for your life. I have set a lot of goals for my career that I woke up one day and realized, this isn't really what I want. And so knowing the difference is huge. And then timely, of course, you give yourself a consistent time period to achieve it. Personally, I think 90-day cycles are great. That kind of gives me a chance to set a plan in motion, make steps to achieve it, and then give myself a short break before starting again. So you can realistically do maybe 3 90-day increments in a year, just giving yourself some time off. Along the way, it's super important to celebrate the wins. The number one thing that helps you avoid burnout is keeping your eye on the light at the end of the tunnel. Right now, our world, or at work and at home, is burnout city. It's really, really easy to feel like your life never changes if you're working from home. Like where the boundaries are can get really blurry. And setting clear goals for yourself helps you stay positive, stay motivated, and also feel like you're productive. So the last thing I want to share on this slide is or two last things. So number one, analyze your starting point. Recognize where you are on this journey and how far along the way, where do you need to go to get there? It's hard to know where you're going if you don't have a good idea of where you're starting from. The other thing I want to share about milestones, if you need like a specific skill set to advance your goals, like maybe, it's education, milestones could be defined as achieving the skills that you'll need to accomplish your goals. So knowing the difference between goals and milestones is also really important. And then balance is key. For some people, their balance is their family and their work. For others, it might be their health and fitness and their career. I kind of look at 4 different quadrants of my life in setting goals. I look at my body, my balance, my relationships, my being, kind of mental health, and as a business owner, business as well. So one thing you'll learn is I really like alliteration. It helps me remember. And so mine are all 4 Bs, but you'll need to define what that looks like for yourself. So one thing I always thought was a little cheesy, kind of woo-woo, if you will, was the idea of vision boards. However, I was recently, in the last week, gifted a book that is all about vision boarding and how visualizing your goals, literally creating a picture, do I want this sexy body? Do I want to vacation in Greece? It looks like Greece. Do I want this badass pool in my backyard? Do I want all this food with my friends? Yes, that's the answer for me to all of these things. I don't know about the body. I don't know if I'll ever get there, but it's a goal, right? So having something that really visualizes what success looks like for you helps you stay motivated. And I can 100% testify to this. A goal is something totally different when it's written on a piece of paper versus when you can see it straight in front of you. So you'll want your vision board to look like something that excites you, something you want to look at, and it's not just like a cluttered mess, and something that inspires you. You could display it publicly in your office or privately, maybe behind a cabinet door or a closet door. But I am all on Team Vision Board, and I'm looking at having a vision board party. So if anyone would like to join, let me know. Finally, on this note, your personal mission statement. Many of you are familiar with company mission statements, but what does a mission statement look like for you? What is your why? Do you show up to work every day to feed your family? Do you show up at work because it lights a fire of passion in you? Do you apply your core values to your mission statement? Do you use your mission statement to say yes or no to opportunities? Use it as an indicator, a barometer of what you should be saying yes to, saying no to, the decisions you make. And also, I recommend being very public with it. Once you have a statement that you're very proud of, throw it on your resume. I want to see a resume that has less cover letter fluff and more like a 2-sentence mission statement that is direct to the point, tells me about who that person is, and lets me know how much value they can add to my company. So be proud of that mission statement. Oops, sorry. So next step, creating a personal brand. What does that look like, literally? What are your 5 things? The 5 things that someone would know about you are, this is an idea that you want to project in every aspect of your life, whether it's personal interactions, your social media, whatever the case may be. But if I ask Caitlin, hey, what are 5 things you know about Eleni? Could you come up with mine? So I have a hard time committing to certain things. I've heard people use descriptions, oh, I love mac and cheese, I love spreadsheets, I love coffee, and I love Facebook or whatever. Mine are a little more vague because I can't narrow things down. But I already told you what they are. I told you that I love eating, I love helping entrepreneurs expand, expressions of culture, exploring the earth, and entertaining. And I also told you that I love alliteration, and they all start with E. So, and also that's my name. So branding 101, consistency. So social media, those 5 things can help you channel your content. Some people come to me and say, man, I really feel like I have a lot I could share with people online, but I don't know where to start. And maybe sometimes if you're a social media manager for a brand, maybe you feel like you've run out of things to talk about. So using the 5 things as a tool to guide your content gives you posts for days. And also, you can kind of run everything that you share through that filter. Like, is this supporting the 5 E's that I really want everyone to know about me? So that question is something you can answer for yourself, but it's a great place to start with your journaling practices and planning, is just identifying those 5 E's. So as far as social media, I've talked about it a little bit so far. The same things that we do for businesses can apply to your personal brand. So just like we segment content by platform, we post a little differently on Instagram than we do on Facebook or LinkedIn. You'll want to do the same things there. So, maybe your LinkedIn is all about your work wins. Maybe your Facebook is those relationships, family interactions. Instagram is for your hobbies and passions and bringing who you are to life. But even Spotify and Pinterest have their place. I have a few friends that when I hear a song or a playlist that just makes me think of them, I send them a link to that Spotify playlist. When, Pinterest, maybe your vision board starts on Pinterest and it's something that you're proud of and you want to share with people. So think about how you can use social media to tell your story really authentically. And like I said earlier, consistency is the #1 most important tactic you can use to building a personal brand. However you show up, whether it's in person or online, it should generally be sending the same message. So maybe it's, the way you speak. Like, do you write a little more casually in your Facebook posts? Do you, use a lot of emojis, like in everything? Do you put 5 laughing, crying faces or whatever it might look like? But people really do start to notice. It does represent you and the way you interact. And as job seekers and leaders are looking you up to, consider you for their next opportunity, that's what they look for. It's honestly true. Like, I don't think that we've ever hired anyone without looking at their social platforms. And that's a whole nother topic. It's a whole nother session, and I'm sure it's been discussed at length. I know it has. But truly, your personal brand online is the best thing you can do, especially right now when you can't make face-to-face introductions the way you'd want. As for writing, use descriptive words, make an emotional connection with your reader. Consider, like, when you post something, is it representing you in the best way possible? Have you experienced loss or hardship? How do you make that part of your story without making your story a sob story? How do you make, the positive come out through your social posts? The other question too, something like I try to do is check in at businesses that my friends own or that are clients of ours. That's really huge because, people are always looking for recommendations, first of all, but anytime you check in somewhere, it triggers a newsfeed notification. So when I check in at O'Bricks, I want my friends there to see that I'm there supporting their business and also promoting it. So that's another great way that you can establish your personal brand. And also just be conscious of the places that you check in. Are they the most favorable? Maybe O'Bricks at 2 a.m. is not the best idea, but for a lunch meeting, great. Also, one thing we'll talk about is a digital portfolio. I think a digital portfolio, that's the next slide, I'll get to that. But the last thing on this is strong headshot goes a really long way. Your social posts will do better if they have your face in them. It is proven. Sometimes I hate that fact, but it's true. If you don't think you need to hire someone to take headshots of you, you're not ready for that, or you don't like the headshot from your company, the next time you're doing a family photo session, just ask your photographer to throw in a couple poses of just a headshot, maybe a couple different settings, but having a few headshots you're really proud of goes a long way. The truth is, I don't have one that I really like of myself, and that's why I threw that picture up with my parents. And it's something I've just been kind of putting off, but I haven't had a good occasion, so I need to get that done. Personal appearance too is also important. Don't be a bad Tinder date. When someone shows up looking totally different than their picture, that's not a good look. People, definitely notice how your appearance. Are you sloppy? Ladies, are your nails chipped? Again, very basic tactics, but as an employer, as someone who assesses business partners and vendors on their appearance, I hate to say it, but it does go a long way about explaining who you are. So the digital portfolio thing is huge. It is so easy to set up something on Squarespace, Wix, these quick online platforms that can help you just put your resume online, your personal mission statement, your strong headshot, maybe links to recent projects. Like, what can you show online that is that justifies and validates who you are? So highly recommend building a digital portfolio. And if you have any questions about how to do that, we can help. And then, of course, like I said, back it up in real life. Again, the bad Tinder date thing, whatever you do online needs to reflect who you are and what you deliver in person. Some people who are, I would say, if you think President Obama and Mark Zuckerberg are successful, one thing they do is have a consistent wardrobe that eliminates the decision-making factor. Like, Zuckerberg is known for his gray tees, and that's part of his personal brand. For Obama, I think it was a gray suit or a blue suit. Again, it says something about their leadership, their commitment to consistency, and everybody knows that that's their thing. Steve Jobs, black turtleneck, like, how that goes. So whether it's maybe a color palette of work clothes that you buy, it helps making getting up and dressed in the morning easier, but people will also start to notice, that consistency in your appearance. So what leaders look for. As someone who has hired, I don't know, about a dozen or so people at this point, I can tell you a little bit from my perspective what I look for in a potential new hire, but also in advancing your career, what can set you apart. So the first thing you can do is be really freaking good at what you do. Literally just be excellent. I strongly believe in, maybe not acting like you're the smartest person in the room, but certainly feeling that confidence, feeling that power that can help you take the next step in your career. At work, be accountable. Do what you say you're going to do. You should probably try to do it on time. Be passionate. Get really super excited about the work you do, or consider another career path. Again, consistently, I will say consistency is huge. Make sure that the person that you are when you walk through the doors at work is generally the same. One thing I can say about Kendall in our office, a lot of you know her, Kendall always shows up with a smile on her face, regardless of what's happening at home, in the world around her. I can count on Kendall to brighten my day every single day. So that consistency is huge. Creativity, of course, is huge, especially in a post-COVID world. What creative solutions did you bring to the table for adapting your workplace to a virtual world? And then finally, be really resourceful. One thing I always appreciate about someone who joins our team, whether it's an intern, hint, hint, Alex, or just a new hire, like looking for places to find the answers without necessarily having to ask. Or I don't want to discourage questions, because questions are terrific. Know the right person to ask the question to get to the answer most quickly. Also, leaders like conserving resources, whether that be time or money. So think about how your solutions are as resourceful as possible. Again, asking questions is really important, but ask the right questions. Does this question make me sound like I don't have a good understanding of the subject matter? Or does it make me look like I am thinking about the next level? Like, what is the future state of this situation that we're in? Also, demonstrating passion through the questions that you ask is a good opportunity. And then finally, you know, I'm always looking for team players and then people who are going to want to get involved in a community. So, you know, are you joining industry networking groups? Like, you know, Jill is active in the Florida Public Relations nonprofit. You know, what nonprofit? The networking group. You know, what are the industry groups, whether it be the chamber or, you know, field specific groups that you can join? Getting involved in those groups is huge. And then, you know, if you're part of a larger company, your company probably has committees like, you know, employee morale or strategic plan or whatever. I don't know. I've never really worked at a large company, so sometimes I just kind of have a picture in my head of what they look like. But I've heard that they have committees you can join, and that also expresses leadership to your supervisors. And then finally, one thing we do here every week in our team meeting, we call Today I Learned, and we share industry news articles about trends, which especially in our industry, trends are changing constantly. So you can establish yourself as a thought leader by what news and data and trends that you bring to the table. It adds, you are showing that you add value. So that's really huge. All right. So again, we all want, you know, passion, purpose, but ultimately, to say the PPP, it's all about getting paid. That's really, truly what it is. So whether you are, you know, looking for a raise, whether you're looking for a promotion, the fact is that I, as a leader, might not know that you're interested in the next step in your career if you don't tell me. It's really difficult for people to get on board with this. Even like people I know, you know, good friends, the closest people in my life tell me that they have a hard time and can't foresee a future that involves them having asked for the role that they want. They think it's just going to come to them. And my business partner, Keith, told me that, you know, demonstrated to me that that's 100% not true. Like, if you want something, you need to ask for it. And of course, in a subtle way. You know, don't just come into the office and tell me why you deserve a $50,000 raise or whatever that looks like. But ultimately, you know, what you're looking for in your next career move, like as a leader, I don't know what that might look like if you don't give me a chance to think about how you might impact your the future of our company. And then again, like we've kind of addressed this before, if you're someone who's out in the field, which you probably are because you're here on this networking event, you need to consider the company's brand an extension of your personal brand. So what that means is not necessarily just looking professional and polished. It's also understanding whether your company's values align with your personal values. And ultimately, if they don't, it's probably time for you to consider the next step. Like, if you love the people you work with, but you're in an office that is archaic and they're not interested in building a better workplace, as much as you love the tasks and the people you work with, if professional development is important to you, you might need to look elsewhere. Again, with COVID, you know, we're doing these Zooms all the time. So looking and acting professional is also extremely important. I hate to use the phrase that's overused, but dress for the job you want. It's true. So even when you're on Zoom, you know, showing up professionally is important, not looking like you just rolled out of bed and, you know, here you are in your PJs. We've seen and we've shared those memes, but yeah, not recommended. And then finally, I mentioned this earlier, but exhibiting confidence is huge. So whether you're working internally with someone on your team, in your department, or you're, you know, interacting with someone outside the company, confidence is really going to be the best indicator of future success. So relationships are all important to us because we're here networking. How can you leverage your network? Well, number one, I would say is after networking events like these, when you're having a personal interaction or a connection with someone, follow up on it in a meaningful way. I can't tell you how many people have added me to their email list for their company because we exchange business cards. That's an automatic unsubscribe. Like, I mean, it's an interesting tactic to grow your list, but what I do is I try to be a little bit more genuine. When I go to a networking event, maybe I have a specific goal. Like, I want to meet 3 new people that I could go to lunch with and have a great conversation. Or I need to close 3 deals this month, so I'm going to look for potential leads. Whatever your goal might be when you show up at a networking event, make sure you follow through on that. So quick tip from me is set up an email template in your email system, whether it's Gmail or Outlook. Like Gmail has canned responses. So I have a canned response for a networking follow-up, which is basically like Mad Libs, like fill in the blank. Hi, so-and-so, it was great meeting you at blank. And then make sure that you're mentioning very like detail specific, what did you talk about? Did you learn that they're going on vacation? Is their dog's name Fido? Whatever. So throw that in there and then ask them for something. Just be direct. Like, if I want to have coffee with Jill, I'm gonna invite her to have coffee. Rather than just saying, we should get together sometime. Because the truth is, even in your personal interactions, sometimes is probably never. Like, unless you set a specific date for your next interaction, it might not ever happen. And then you'll be sitting here and there's a global pandemic and you'll be like, I haven't seen anybody in months. It's because you didn't schedule weekly interactions with your friends and the people who care about you. Finally, snail mail is huge. There are people I look up to in my world who are amazing about sending thinking of you cards. Like, if they notice I had a big milestone for our company, they send me a note. I am not that amazing, but I try to make every effort to send thank you notes, especially for new client consultation meetings. I always send a thank you note. Client birthdays, I try. Sympathy, definitely. Like, if a client, loses their mother or something, they're gonna get a card. So those personal touches in the digital age are huge. And then knowing which events to attend, that's what Caitlin's here for. So if you have specific goals about the people you'd like to meet, she would be more than happy to tell you which events to go to, who is great to talk to, oh, you need to meet so-and-so. That's what they're here for. So shameless plug. And then finally, at networking events, it's again been said before, but just be professional. It's cool, if you end up having a good connection with a small group and you're at a place that, you may have had a couple cocktails and then you decide you want to stay with that group for dinner. Awesome, like, do that. But don't be that drunk guy who's still at the social at 9:30, trying to pick up scraps. Like, not recommended. But develop meaningful connections through networking events. Stay for dinner and then gracefully make your exit when the time is right. Finally, there is, if you're interested in kind of how we network at Sokos Social and our strategy, there's a post on our blog that you can look up, or we can send you the link to that. And then networking and mentorship, looking at my mentor can be challenging. You want to find someone who can, offer you situational advice, help you navigate the next steps on your journey, and plan your future. I think it's kind of easy for people to find mentors, or at least it can be. MYP has been a great source for connecting young professionals to mentors. But what I also like to have in what I call like my bench, right? Like my team, helping me cheerlead, is someone I can call like a champion. So maybe this person isn't a mentor in the traditional sense because maybe they're a client of mine, or I want them to be a client of mine. In that case, they're what I call a champion. So this person writes reference letters. This person like leaves Google reviews for your business. They cheerlead for you, and they're just like more of a friend, maybe in that space. So it's great to have a peer or a friend on your bench, because just knowing that you're going through the same life steps is really huge. And, maybe not every one of your friends can relate to where you are in your career. Not every one of your mentors can relate to what is happening at home. So building your bench with a good mix of people is really important. The last thing I'll say on this tip, because I'm on the receiving end of emails quite often that say, hey, can I pick your brain? And it feels awesome to get those emails. It feels great to know that people care about my feedback and insight, but also I'm really time limited. And that's just the truth. I will say yes because I feel bad or an obligation, but maybe I need to protect my time. So when you think about sending an email that says, can I pick your brain? Try developing like 3 very specific questions, email it to that person, and then let them respond to you by email. Maybe set up a meeting if they invite you or if they're open to it, but be very specific and strategic with the questions you ask of people you're trying to learn from. So finally, last couple slides here. Obviously, no one knows what's next in the world. We don't know what the future of workplace is going to look like. We don't know what companies are even going to exist. I hate to say it, but there are bankruptcies left and right. And, our future is largely uncertain. So the number one thing you can do to set yourself apart in this time is let your results speak for themselves. Again, going back to that earlier slide, be excellent at what you are, but also be visible. Take every opportunity to do company networking, like Zoom happy hour. Connect with your colleagues independently. Ask them for like a one-on-one for 30 minutes. Just catch up on their day. You're not sitting at by the coffee station anymore. So it's important to still make those connections, because that person might know, something that's happening internally that you've been on the outside from while working from home. So if things are slow, now it's time to work on your digital portfolio. If it's hectic, figure out how you can be more effective and be proud of that. Share that with your supervisor. Hey, I did this virtually and I saved an hour. And finally, while working from home might be the next normal, it's not for everyone. So consider co-working. Almost every good thing that's happened to this company is because I decided to get a desk at a co-working space. So there's that. And then thank you. Finally, the end.